to have surgery today to repair a medial meniscus tear in his right knee. The Bulls said in a statement that a timetable for his return will be determined after today's procedure. But we're hearing that many within that organization believe that Rose could come back at some point this season. At a Bulls charity event on Thursday night, Chicago Bulls executive VP John Paxson said the following: "It's all based on tomorrow and them going in and seeing the knee. Our anticipation is that it's going to be nothing, an easy procedure, but there's an area that's going to get taken care of. And the hope is that he will play this year. We still got about 2 months of the regular season, and we're all hoping that he does play this year." Ramona Shelburne back with us, Coach Edwards back with us. Here's the question, Ramona. Let's see how I would phrase this right for you. Should Rose make a push to come back this season if he can?
Yes. When I watch Derrick Rose right now, he looks to me like he's always still thinking about that injury, that he's got a little fear in the back of his mind. At some point, he has got to get over it. He's not going to be the same player if he can't get past that fear. And what I heard John Paxson say right there is, Derrick, don't worry about it. You can play. You can get back out there. And it's kind of what he needs to hear from the team, but it's really what he needs to hear from those doctors. Because whatever the doctor tells you, that's what you have in your head. And when you're playing with fear, Coach, you know this, that's when you get hurt. When you're playing out there and you're not loose and there's a part of you that's wondering, is my knee going to hold up? Can I make this move to the basket? That's actually when you get hurt. It's when you learn how to let go and be the player that you've always been is when you're able to play and flourish. I mean, this year, I watch Derrick Rose, I see these flashes. Yeah. I see him drive to the basket and I go, oh, that looks like Derrick Rose. Yeah. But then I see him shoot 251 three-pointers, the most three-pointers he's ever shot in his career at this stage of a season. And he's pulling up short. He's taking jumpers. He's not himself. When that isn't, so all you need is somebody to tell you what to think right now, because he's got 25 people telling him what to think. He needs to listen to one person, and he needs to listen to what's inside his head, and he needs to find a way somehow to get back out on that court this year and prove to himself that he's not the guy with a black cloud over his head. He's not the guy where bad luck is following him. He's got to change that narrative inside his head somehow. Because, the other night when I saw that release from the Chicago Bulls, I mean, everyone who saw that was just heartbroken. Not again.
25
Not
people,
again.
He's listening to. That's his biggest problem right now, not his body, his camp. Yeah. I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think his camp, it's in their interest to protect him long term. I mean, this is the guy that you've got to make sure he has as long a career as he possibly can. But as an athlete, I mean, and Coach, you can speak to this. When a guy is in that place where on one side there's people telling you, be cautious, wait till the playoffs, wait till you really feel it. That's still in your head. That little bit of doubt is in your head. And when you watch him play, that's all I see this year. So if he needs that push, if he needs somebody to say, get on out there and play, do it. That's maybe how he's going to be able to conquer it.
Well, you make some good points, Ramona, and I know this as a coach and as a former player, you're never going to try to convince a player of that because you can't do it. Because you're always worried about if he gets hurt again, then you forced him to play. He has to come to the realization of this. When you get surgeries, that's part of the profession. You don't know when you're going to get them. I had one. I get it. And you're right. I mean, when you get it, the first thing you wonder is, am I going to be the same person? Well, you have to put yourself in position to realize, I got to go. I got to find this out. Because at the end, you have to play. He wants to play basketball. He plays a certain style of basketball. And you're right. All of a sudden, he's become a little bit of a jump shooter. And that's not who he is. And I think he's realizing, you know what? The more I go to this basket and the more I twist and turn and generate, my ability to fly in the air and these quick stops, that's hurting me. So I almost think he's trying to change his game a little bit in the fact that I'm trying to protect myself. Now, he's a guy last year that got hurt, and he waited. He just canceled it out. He said, I'm not coming back.
Shut it down.
It'll be interesting to see his mindset now, because a lot of people are looking at him, not only the Chicago Bulls, but other people are going, hey, this guy ain't coming back. That was my first thought. When he got hurt, I said, is he done for the year?
Is he done forever? I mean, that's what it felt like. Yeah. I mean, that's what it felt like. When I saw that press release come out when the Chicago Bulls said he may not, he's having another surgery. I mean, it was like the whole NBA was in mourning again. I mean, now you're like, can he come back this year? Can he come back at all? And you just can't be that guy where everybody looks at you and feels sorry for you. You can't, if you walk around like that, then that's who you become. Yeah. Somehow he's got to not be that guy.
Well,
I remember a couple years ago.
It's called availability.
You know, a couple years ago, Kobe Bryant sprained his ankle so bad in a game against the Atlanta Hawks. He stepped on somebody's foot.
I remember
and the next game was in Indiana.
It was controversial.
He tweeted that picture. Remember, he tweeted that picture of his ankle? And he went out and played. He played about a quarter. And he had no business playing. I mean, he was terrible. He took himself out after a quarter. And I asked him afterwards, I said, why did you go do that? I mean, you knew you couldn't play. And he goes, I wanted to see what it felt like to play with an injury that bad. Yeah. I needed to know where the line was of what I can and can't play.
So does he need to make a push to come back this season?
Go ahead, Coach.
No, I was going to say, and you can go, Skip. This reminds now, Derrick Rose has had a much bigger career than the guy I'm about to say, Sam Bradford.
Oh, okay.
But Sam Bradford's a guy that's great potential, and you go, oh, he got hurt.
Poor guy.
And then you go, oh, he got hurt again.
Hey,
you go, oh,
I unfortunately rooted for him all through his college years, and he got hurt again, and he got hurt again, and he got hurt again.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to see it. And I'm hoping Derrick Rose is not that guy.
Okay. Coach, if you
I don't know.
If you had coached the Chicago Bulls the previous 2 seasons,
yeah,
you would have been driven out of your mind because your star played 10 games over 2 full seasons and collected $34 million from your franchise. Think about that.
Yeah.
10 games, $34 million. And why he couldn't come back the second year after the 10 games and then he tore the medial meniscus, I don't know. Again, advisors, agents, relatives, got to shut it down, got to be the best you can be, got to get 100%. He obviously has had psychological demons this whole year. He's fought himself in his head. Can I go? Can I go? I'm going to say this one more time. People get sick of hearing about it. I'm an expert on this surgery that he's having today because I've had exactly the same surgery 3 times. Medial meniscus.
Most recently?
Trust me, a year and a half ago. Trust me, it doesn't need to be a big deal. It's not. You tear a little cartilage, and we don't know exactly how significant the tear is, but a lot of times it's just not that significant. In the National Football League, routinely, a little medial meniscus tear, they clip it, and the player's back in 3 weeks. So when John Paxson was quoted yesterday as saying, we would hope he could come back in 3 to 6, completely realistic in a vacuum of player A, B, or C, but maybe not player D, as in D Rose. Because this guy has got the demons going, and I'm sure they're worse in his head now. Will I ever be right? But it doesn't have to be a big deal. Again, my surgeon has done a number of NBA and NFL players, and what did he want me to do? He said, just when you get out of the anesthesia, it's not a big deal. If you can go straight home and get on your exercise bike with no resistance and just paddle for 30 minutes just to get your range of motion back. This is the day of the surgery. You'll start to bounce back very quickly. And I've told you, 3 times, the worst I had it was 3 weeks. The worst, and then I was running, obviously I don't play NBA basketball, but I run distance on concrete. And I could run in 3 weeks distance on concrete and stand up to the pounding of it because it's not that big a deal. Just for the record, this surgery that he's having now, he didn't re-rupture his ACL. That would be a whole different ballgame. You'd be gone.
You're saying what he's having right now because you've had it, not a big deal.
A lot of people have had it, and it's not that.
So much of how we respond to things is what people tell us of how we respond to things.
Yeah.
So if the doctor tells you, and you trust that doctor.
Absolutely.
If you trust that doctor, and I think that actually might be some of what's going on here.
Yeah.
If they say not a big deal.
What about the people in his camp? I want to know why we feel like he's so impressionable. Why does he pay so much attention to the people telling him how he should feel?
One is his brother, because you would listen to your brother, right? One is his agent. He's got 2 or 3 agents, BJ Armstrong, Arm Tellem, all these guys. And they are paid to look out for his best long-term interests. And I'm usually on the side of the athlete taking control of his career and not letting the team tell him what to do because your agenda is different than their agenda. Okay?
Exactly.
I am usually on the side of the athlete here. And actually, to be honest, up until now, I would have told Derrick Rose, take as long as you need. If you're not feeling it, don't come back. But when I saw that the other night, and we all collectively went, oh, God, not again. I feel so sorry for that guy. I just think that psyche of, oh, you're that guy. You're the guy everyone's feeling sorry for.
Yeah.
You're the guy that everyone is worried about. At some point, he's got to just change that narrative. Not for all of us, but for him. Because you start to internalize that and you believe that. And I feel that with him. I mean, watching the Chicago Bulls this year, it felt like he was waiting to turn it on until the playoffs. It felt like he was pacing himself. He was getting himself back. He was constantly testing himself. That's why the Bulls look like one game they look great, the next game they're a little off. That's why, because it feels like they're pacing themselves. There's nothing wrong with that. I really think that that's what Derrick Rose should be doing with his career. He should be taking ownership of it. But this is how you take ownership of it now.
Do you realize what a hero he could be to that city?
Oh, he comes back.
Said, I'm coming back,
Skip,
baby.
that's the problem. He realizes it. He's felt that his entire career. He's from there. He's from Chicago.
Wait, you said he does realize it.
He does, and that's part of what's on his shoulders. He's got to stop worrying about that, though. He's got to stop worrying about saving Chicago.
Coach, I'll let you
and
have
start
the last
worrying about
word.
saving his own
Do
career.
you think that he can come back mentally? Let's not talk about the physical aspect. That'll determine.
Yeah, I mean, physically, if he's okay. I think mentally, he went through it last year. I'm hoping he's drawn something from that. You have to have courage. I mean, there's a mental toughness in every athlete, and you got to get over that hurdle. He's got to get over that hurdle now if he's going to have a long career.
Sounds like you might need coach as a life coach. Derrick, he's available.
We all
Ramona
do.
Shelburne. I know, right? I keep it with me. Ramona Shelburne, thank you so much. It was enlightening. You're back in
Very good.
anytime.
Thanks.
When we come back, we're talking about Josh Hamilton. Reportedly has a relapse with cocaine and alcohol. What does that mean for the former MVP? The gentleman will weigh in. Coach is hanging around. We'll be right back.